You hear the exhaustion in his voice before the words land. It's the kind of confession that smells like truth, raw, a little ragged, and impossible to ignore. Travis Kelce, one of the NFL's most durable winners and the guy whose name used to be shorthand for clutch, just had a very public, very human breakdown about a season that's slipping through his hands. He didn't couch it. He didn't do the PR dance. He said it felt plaque that he can't find the answers he used to have. And then he said the thing every competitor fears: showing up, doing the work, and still coming up short. That line, the video of a superstar admitting helplessness, is what will live in people's heads. Not because it's shocking that an athlete struggles, but because Kelce has been the exact opposite of this for a decade. Relentless, adaptive, the kind of player who could teach routes to younger receivers and still run circles around defenses. To hear him wonder out loud whether effort alone is enough is a window into where this season has gone for him and the Chiefs. Let's lay it out. Kelce's numbers this year aren't bad. 727 yards, 5 touchdowns, but the tape tells the fuller, sharper story. He's been a step off more often. He's missed the habitual, instinctive catches that used to be automatic. And the play that will get replayed in the worst way, that drop late against the Texans that led to an interception, wasn't just a busted box score moment. It was a moment of existential dread for a team that needs him to be reliable in the bottom of the ninth. That's what makes this rant so important. It's not profanity for shock value. It's a window into accountability. He's not blaming play calling, defenders, or youth. He's naming his own failure and the pain of letting his teammates down. For a veteran, that means two things. His teammates hear the truth, and the locker room now wrestles with a leader who's raw instead of polished. Sometimes leaders soften the blow with spin. Kelce did the opposite. In doing so, he handed the Chiefs a rare commodity: honesty. There's a cost to that honesty, though. The Chiefs are not just dealing with one veteran's slump. They're a franchise that has built an entire game plan around rhythm, timing, and trust. And a tight end like Kelce is the heartbeat of that system. When he's not making the catches and clearing the middle of the field, the offense loses one of its stabilizing axes. Defenses can cheat, cover differently, and the avalanche starts in small increments. A hurried read, a pressured throw, a fourth down gamble that fails. That's how a season with high expectations becomes a slog by December. Age is an obvious headline here. Kelce is 36. Wide-eyed fans will sigh and point to the calendar like it's a verdict. But age alone isn't the whole story. Kelce's game is muscle memory, timing, and an understanding of space that usually ages well. The worry now is less about numbers on a birthday cake and more about the accumulation of contact, minor injuries, and the mental weight of being asked to carry a team that's not clicking around him. When the body and the mind both feel slightly off, even small mechanical errors look enormous on the field. There's another layer that fans don't always notice: expectations. The Chiefs have spent a decade as the team that expects magic. That culture rewards risk and improvisation, and it's allowed them to flip fourth downs and will improbable comebacks into a normal season arc. But when things don't go right, the same culture magnifies failures. A drop that would be a grim footnote on a mediocre roster becomes a headline and a social media crucifixion on a championship contender. Kelce's outburst is a human reaction to that heat, the pressure to be perfect in a world that keeps moving the goalposts. So what happens now? Two things are true at once. First, the Chiefs need Kelce being Kelce. They need his hands, his leadership, his short area brilliance that buys Mahomes a half second and turns it into a touchdown. That's non-negotiable. Second, Kelce's honesty gives the coaching staff and the roster something rare: clarity. You can't fix what you can't see. Now everyone knows the guy in the middle of their scheme is fighting something. That changes how you structure reps, protection, and targets. You don't hide a star, you support him differently. This is where smart coaching shows up. You mask. You scheme more quick game looks. You build plays that let Kelce win without needing to dominate physical matchups every snap. You sprinkle screens, slants, and designed moves that take the contact out of the initial catch. That's not infantilizing the player. It's strategic, like a pit crew wrapping fragile tape around a prized machine during a rough race. Then there's the roster calculus. If Kelce is trending down, the team has to ask whether to lean into youth around him or spend to plug gaps that protect the entire offense. Side note, no fan wants the Chiefs to panic and break the core. But football is a business with a scoreboard, and the front office will be watching every indicator: practice reports, drops, contested catch rates, and situational execution. Those numbers tell a story that the podcast rant only confirmed emotionally. The human angle is also crucial. Fans rip and debate and demand answers, but inside that locker room, there's a veteran who's shouldering guilt and a team that loves the guy. Leaders respond to that in different ways. They either circle the wagons or they fracture under pressure. Kelce's admission can become the rallying cry it needs to be if teammates answer in kind. We see you. We'll adjust. We'll do the work. That's the ideal. The fragile alternative is social media performative anger that drives wedges and undermines cohesion. There's a deeper cultural beat at play: vulnerability as leadership. Sports narratives often reward the tough-lipped leader who never shows emotion. But you only need to look at the greatest teams to see the opposite pattern play out. Leaders who show their wounds and then ask others to close ranks have a way of galvanizing people more effectively than those who hide. Kelce's raw confession is risky because it invites critique, but it can also demand responsibility from everyone in the room: coaches, receivers, blockers, to pick up the slack and fix the system around a man who is trying, publicly and painfully, to be better. Finally, imagine how Kelce himself uses it. This could be a turning point. We've seen players respond to public shame with private obsession. The best athletes convert embarrassment into routine, drilling the tiny mechanics until the same catch becomes habit again. If Kelce channels this the way he's always channeled loss into improvement, you'll see it. Extra reps in the morning, meticulous attention to hands and footwork, film study that would make a coach cry with joy. That's the arc fans want. Not a comeback only in final drives, but a comeback that shows up in tape and quiet practice rooms. So what's the bottom line tonight? The rant matters because it's honest, it's human, and it's a symptom of a season that isn't going the Chiefs' way. It adds pressure because great players are supposed to be infallible, but it also gives the team a chance to respond with surgical fixes instead of theater. For Travis Kelce, the next week is as consequential as any late-season stretch. Will this be the moment he doubles down and reclaims his game, or the moment fans point to as the beginning of an inevitable decline? One thing's clear: this isn't a guy who'll accept mediocrity quietly. Whether he finds the answers again is part talent, part scheme, and part what the team decides to do to help him. The franchise built its identity around roaring back from trouble. Now the question is whether they treat this like another ripple to surf or a crack that needs repair. Either way, Kelce's words will echo, and the next time he steps on the field, everyone will be listening a little more closely. Travis Kelce didn't sugarcoat anything in the latest episode of his New Heights podcast, unleashing a profanity-filled rant about his struggles during a disappointing season for both himself and the Kansas City Chiefs. Kelce admitted he's been searching for answers that just aren't coming this year, calling it a skeef feeling to let his team down. It's a skeef feeling, especially dropping the ball late in a game like that when we were on our last chance to make something shake, Kelce said. I feel like I've always had the answers in years past, and this year I just can't find them. I keep thinking, if I show up to work and I put in the work and I fix the issues through my practice habits and through perfecting the game plan and my fundamentals and what I'm being taught, and go out there and try and play my off for my guys next to me, it's all going to come together like it has in years past. And this year, it's just not, man. At 36 years old, Kelce has shown more signs of decline in 2025 than in previous seasons. His struggles were especially evident in Sunday's loss to the Houston Texans, where he finished with just one catch for 8 yards and a costly drop that led to a game-sealing interception. While Kelce still has 727 yards and 5 touchdowns this season, he hasn't been the dominant force that defined his career. With the Chiefs sitting at 6-7 and needing a near miracle to reach the playoffs, Kelce's future is uncertain. There's no guarantee he returns next season, and this certainly isn't the way he planned for things to go.